Instead, I'm going to say, I'd just like to extend a very warm welcome to everyone, with ages ranging from 0 to 93, I think, and hope we all have a great time and enjoy some fantastic music spanning 6 decades, which Robin has painstakingly assembled for your delight. But if you don't like the music, well, it's hard luck, because I will, having selected most of it myself. Anyway, I'd like to say a massive thank you to all those who have provided food, entertainment, or anything else, too many to mention individually, not least to avoid upsetting anyone for accidentally missing them out. However, special thanks must go to Lexi for all her hard work getting the show on the road, despite her recent health issues, which are well documented. Now, I know you will all be itching to get on the dance floor to spot a breakdancing maybe, and I'm desperate to sit down as my knees are killing me. But before I do, I've been specially requested to share a little anecdotal piece about when I was 8. Just on the back here. It's entitled Cause and Effect in a Dangerous Year. You might be excused for supposing that compared with nowadays, school was a relatively safe environment for a young child in the 1950s. After all, there were no knives or drugs or mass shootings to worry about. But safe was hardly the word I or my parents would have chosen when, aged 8, I collapsed after colliding with another boy in the playground. With throbbing head, impaired vision, and buzzing in my ears, I somehow stumbled inside. And what was the school secretary's response when I was taken to her office? Phone for an ambulance and contact Mum. Well, actually no, she arranged for one of her big children, a 9-year-old girl from the class above, to walk home with me in my concussed state. Thankfully, after a trip to A&E, a day or so of school, I made a complete recovery. In fact, my accident had an unexpected and pleasing byproduct. Despite the somewhat unorthodox method of introduction, me and the other boy afterwards became the best of friends. And the last 2 years at primary school were the happiest of my young life. School was not the only potentially dangerous place for me in 1953, for there was Portman Road, where I watched my first football game in October that year. I was too small to get a proper view from behind the concrete wall which ran alongside the pitch. No problem, like the other young children, I sat on the wall itself, just a few short feet from the touchline. Apparently it didn't occur to anyone that there could be the remotest risk of a child being hit and injured by a football, much heavier in those days, especially when in wet and muddy conditions, or maybe by a player who gets barged off the pitch by an opponent. No one in that is until the police poke their noses in. I kicked up such a fuss when the dangerous practice was banned, but Dad pacified me by buying a stool to stand on behind the wall, which was a bit safer, and which I grudgingly admitted worked quite well after I get used to it. But there were distressing consequences. A few weeks later, I jammed 2 fingers in my stool when I sat on it without opening it properly. And not any 2 fingers, the 2 middle fingers on my right hand. Those 2 actually. And the 2 fingers that I was in the habit of sucking at night. A habit which so entrenched that it seemed nothing could break. Sadly, neither the bandage which Mum wrapped around my mutilated fingers, nor the corresponding fingers on my left hand tasted anywhere near so delicious, and my fingers were never sucked again. So who knows, but for that little playground mishap, I might have missed out on a great friendship, and without police intervention at Portman Road, Dad wouldn't have bought me that stool, and if Dad hadn't bought me that stool, I wouldn't have jammed my fingers in it, and if I hadn't jammed my fingers in it, I might still be back in the day. Okay, so now you can all start your